playing Ghost of Tsushima.
We are the true masters of the Earth sphere. Hey, everybody, we are back, and for real this time, through the flames and the fires. The man who walks through dreams is going to bring you what he desires. I mean, I didn't even try to rhyme, and it went. I'm like, dude, it was gold. Anyways, we're back. It's your boy Sleepy and John. Go ahead and say hi, John.
Yo, what's crack-a-lackin'? This is John, aka J Poet, owner and founder of 2Dev Gaming. We are back after a little reprieve. Good looking Al A. Shane for stepping in for me last week. We got it going now. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but I believe that we have it fixed. So what's going on, Sleepy? How you been, man?
Oh, I'm going pretty fine. Go ahead and turn the stream off in the background, bro.
I was making sure my voice was playing, and it is.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I could hear that very cloud, but it's playing. We're good. But no, I have been good. I have been playing Dragon Quest 11, which is like just fucking candy, bro. I love it. Also, I've been playing a Neon Abyss. It's a new roguelike that's kind of a mix between The Binding of Isaac and Gungeon, and it's really good. It needs some work. It needs a little polish, but you know, on the computer they can kind of do that. But that's what I've been playing, and I've been loving it. How about yourself, John?
Nice. Well, since last time we talked, I have went back and beat Halo 5. Just kind of getting ready for Halo Infinite, and now I'm actually playing. Kind of picked back up Red Dead Redemption. Had my brother Matt over the other day, and we kind of hung out and played games, and started playing it. And he was telling me how to get into Blackwater, even though I was wanted dead or alive, and that was kind of what was holding me up. So I've been playing it pretty regularly now too. I've been playing a lot of Smash Brothers. I finally got all of the characters unlocked, and yeah, it's been going pretty good. It's been pretty busy. I'm doing my physical therapy now, so I've got 3 days a week that I'm pretty shored up with my daytime stuff. So
looks like you've been a busy man.
yes, this is the burden of being a husband and father and all that good stuff. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Oh well, good man, because I would never give you that trade anyways. Like, oh man.
But kind of we kind of got a late start, and kind of the whole purpose of today and the topic that we're talking about is the Xbox Game Showcase. I know that's kind of the topic to speak of right now, and we both watched it, and we both kind of have some similar and some differing opinions on it, and I think it's probably going to be a fairly long podcast, especially now that we kind of started late a little bit. But before we kind of dive a little bit deeper and start dissecting games and things like that, let's just kind of talk of the general overview. I'll start off by saying that I will say that it was slightly underwhelming. Wasn't a whole lot of gameplay, but the stuff that we did see, now granted I am an Xbox guy, and there were some games that I've been waiting for a long time, but I will say that 2 or 3 times during the showcase, when I was watching it live, I literally got goosebumps. So I am overall happy with it. I do know that they're having another showcase in August because they left a couple developers out, a couple games out. I think they're going to reveal the Halo multiplayer during them. But overall, I left it feeling good about it. There's a select few. I think that Xbox really has stepped their game up with this generation, and we'll dig a little deeper into that. But I think it's kind of an exciting time to be an Xbox guy. There's some uncharted territory we're coming into here in this console wars.
All right. Well, if I were to give just my general take of an overview, I kind of feel like this was not the knock it out of the park they wanted. I don't think they really, brought exactly the boom they wanted to. It was again, there was good games there, and I'm a PlayStation guy. I don't want to sound biased or anything. There was good games there, games that I would be excited for. But then again, it was a common consensus, like a lack of gameplay of those games. And also it's just that some of the games they brought were questionable. Like, it was like you really like, because if you're gonna have a show coming up later, right? With other exclusives and games like that, maybe you could have took some of these things out here that were just, that didn't really need to be here and put those there. Because that kind of lull in the show when you have like a couple of these games, and we'll get into more depth, but a couple of these games are like, this is a game reveal, like you probably don't want to show things that are already out, like and I just feel like it was underwhelming, but better than the last conference. Definitely better than the last conference.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. I think
Yeah.
it was infinitely better, no pun intended, than the last Xbox conference. I will say that I think that it was pretty on par with the PlayStation conference that happened earlier this year. Um, I will say that there was more gameplay and kind of more things to mull over coming out of the PlayStation conference. But again, I'm an Xbox guy. I watched the PlayStation conference after the fact in snippets. I watched the Xbox one live, so it was kind of about the energy and the feel of it all. Um, we can kind of dig into this because this has kind of been a common critique, and I, in the moment, definitely felt this as well. And me and you spoke about it multiple times already. Sleep.
Yeah.
It's to me, it was a little ridiculous how many DLC announcements they made in the game showcase. I thought it was a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I love some of the games that they showed. Don't get me wrong. Destiny is definitely good. Um, even games like Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Those are all good games, but we already have those games.
Yeah.
Now, I do understand why they're doing it though. Xbox, the reason they kind of focused on it a little bit is one, they already have established communities around these games, and so they're kind of speaking to them. But also, they're launching this whole new system of smart delivery. So it's kind of state of the art. There's never been a system that's ever really done it this way before. They're going to upgrade existing games to fit the Series X specifications. So, for instance, Gears of War, Destiny, Ori, all those games already exist on your Xbox One. But now what they're doing is they're using the smart delivery to be able to have those same games that you love on your Xbox Series X with the 4K, with the 60 frames per second, and with all the things that they've kind of been pushing with their new engine. So it's kind of different than how it used to be. It used to be you get backwards compatibility, you're happy with that. Okay, let me play my Xbox One game on it at the Xbox One specifications and I'll be happy. Well, now they're saying if you own this game on Xbox One, you can now own it on Series X like it was released for Series X.
Well,
So,
well,
Gears 5, Cyberpunk, all those kind of games that are already out, they're going to look even better on the smart delivery portion of it on the Xbox Series X. So,
here's what
you know,
like. The thing about that is, for one thing, I think this was not the place to push that. Like, I think this was not the conference where they should have where they focused on that, because this was a conference everybody was expecting them to come and wow. And they did not. They did not wow, because the thing is, Xbox can't continue to think they're competing at the same level they were when they were at the 360. They're not there. And the thing is, PlayStation, although their conference was kind of underwhelming as well, they were already in the lead, so they didn't really need to do that much. But Xbox kind of needed to, like, wow, they shouldn't have really focused on this. And on my second point on that is that it's also, while consumer friendly, and I like it because it is very consumer friendly, it doesn't really help the case to sell the Xbox X series, because there's still a lot of games that I don't need an Xbox to play. And it's like, well, if I can get it on PC and a lot of games are still on Xbox One, why do I need to pay this money to, bump up to the next one if you're just going to let me play it on anything? It's one of those things. I don't think it's really a good move for them to press that in this conference when they needed to come here and smack foreheads, bruh. Like that's just like that's what they
Well,
needed to do.
I definitely can agree with that. I think that's kind of the double-edged sword with Xbox being owned by Microsoft is people who play on PC have access to um, your Game Pass games. You know what I mean? So like any game, not every game obviously, but your games on your Game Pass and all that, you can pull those up on your computer just as fine. And I do agree with you on that. But I will say for someone like me, I think it spoke to me personally, especially, right now there's still a lot of unknowns. And we don't even know if PlayStation 5 is going to allow you to play PlayStation 4 games on it. So, if, that's not hasn't been verified yet. So, for instance, if you have a PlayStation 5 and you can't play any PlayStation 4 games on it, but then you have the Series X where you can play all of your Xbox One games on it, but not only that, but you can also play them with the Series X specifications. I think that is something that is a selling point, at least for someone like me. For instance, Cyberpunk is going to be coming out in November. I'm assuming it's going to be before the release of the new consoles. So I will probably go pick that up for the Xbox One. But I don't want to then have to turn around and then repurchase it for the Xbox Series X. You know what I mean? People, unless there's backwards compatibility, which hasn't been announced yet for PlayStation, you buy it on PS4, you're gonna have to buy it again for PS5.
Well, the
So
thing
it's
about
kind of
PlayStation is the backwards compatibility all the way back to the one, like all the way back to the 1 and 2 where they were saying it first. That's not really the thing, but I believe it's still back to the 4. Like, I think they're still going to do the 4, especially digitally, and the completely digital one. It's completely feasible to do that, especially when it's completely digital, because you don't have to have the extra hardware to make it emulate the last generation. So it's one of those things that, like, it's not really even a worry for me, because if I bought something in this generation, I'm just going to pay it on my 4, and then I'll just buy the other thing in the next generation. Like, I don't need to play it on both. Like, that's something that more of a collector would do, or something like that. And also thing is that people like you are already Xbox fans. You already like Xbox. You already waiting for this stuff. How is this going to cross over to the people who are on the middle, or looking to get to, like, well, should I get this one or this one? Because the thing is, what you've already told them is they don't need to get your stuff. They already have the tools for that. But the thing is, PlayStation says you have to have our stuff. Now, that is not consumer friendly. Let me be clear. That is not consumer friendly. And honestly, it causes a bit of divide in where games go in general. Like, sometimes but the thing is, as a tactic, it is very effective, because the thing is, you can only get God of War here. You can only get Ratchet and Clank, Demon's Souls, Horizon Zero Dawn, Miles Morales, the next Spider-Man, all that. You can only get it here. And therefore, it just makes it more pertinent. It's like, well, I can't really get that anywhere. But the Xbox, you've given them so many options, they don't need you. Like, they don't really like.
Well, I will say this, with the exception of being able to play it on the PC, which, like I said before, obviously it's because Microsoft owns Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Sony doesn't have an operating system. Sony doesn't have a computer. If they did, they would be available on their computer as well.
True.
But I really think that in the past, all the way up until this point, from the Xbox 360, Xbox One, all of them, Microsoft has really pigeonholed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They've been pretty much known as the shooter, the shooter console, and that's what drew me to them originally, was Halo 2 and all that good stuff. So it's kind of, they've pigeonholed themselves to be the shooter console, but they've really made a huge investment with this generation of investment into exclusives, with the accusation of so many new studios, and to me it looks like it's really paying off. I saw a large variety of different types of games in the showcase, of wide ranging different games,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to be 22 console launch exclusives at launch. There are going to be 22 exclusives at launch. That's uncharted territory for Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
We always have these console war debates. Sleep is kind of a fun thing for us to do, but
Yeah.
but
Definitely.
I'll sit back and admit that PlayStation has been just drumming Xbox since the beginning. There's no lie there. There's no doubt there.
Yeah, I mean the
Um,
numbers speak themselves, but like,
right, the
but
numbers and everything speaks for
it's not like
itself.
Xbox doesn't have anything
Well,
to offer, or anything like that. Xbox has so many things to offer. I just think that it's the thing is like I think your boy I forget who's the guy who the CEO of Xbox. Damn,
yeah,
Phillips.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think your boy like he just like he doesn't know how to put on a good conference, bro. Cause
Well, I'll tell you, it's better than the last one.
yeah.
So they at least learned something. But for me though, like
Philip Spencer. Sorry.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
yes, Phil Spencer, that's what it is.
Mm.
So like with Xbox, it was pretty much Halo, Gears, and Fable. Those are pretty much their exclusives, and everything else is kind of open everywhere. But they've definitely gone beyond that now. So
They're trying. Like, but
I mean,
the thing is, like, they did, like, when they brought Halo, they brought gameplay, and and across the internet, that people are kind of disappointed that gameplay because of the way it looked. Which, I know there's a better version to find, but the thing is, it's like, we've been waiting a long time for this, and like, and you guys, it's like, really? That's
well.
what,
Let me say this. Let me say this as an Xbox guy.
Yeah.
So PlayStation's been drumming us every up until the Xbox One X, right?
Mm-hmm.
This last one that came out with the PS4 Pro.
I would say 360. You all had a good, you had a good impact.
Well, a lot of Xbox people think the 360 was where it all went wrong. That's before Phil Spencer took over. But what I'm saying is this: is that every other generation besides that series or the Xbox One X, PlayStation has been a more powerful machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's had better graphics, more everything. They've had more exclusives. They've had more, literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
But for this generation, it's completely different. This is going to be the very first time that we have a stronger machine at launch.
Mm-hmm.
Finally we have a more powerful console in every way than the PS5 at launch.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but now we also have quality exclusives. There really were some quality exclusives that's going to be coming out, and that's uncharted territory for Microsoft in the console wars. Having a very diverse group of games. Xbox
that.
typically.
Go ahead. I don't want to step on you.
I was just saying, like we said, we've kind of pigeonholed ourselves before, and there's still a whole other showcase coming. Ubisoft and Bethesda, and there's other exclusive
but check that's
studios that still haven't even shown their games yet. So
that's true, but like the thing is, like that's not a good strategy to be like, oh, we still got more, and it's like, bro, why didn't you bring that? Like why didn't you bring that? Why did you have like 4 games in a row that were DLC and then a game that was just not very interesting? You had 2 indies that were like emotionally driven things that are like what's it called? Tell Me Why? The game that was emotionally driven. And it's made from the people that made Life is Strange. But the thing is, Life is Strange looks better and it's an older game. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, you can't tout having the most powerful system and then not bring things that don't look better than the current gen. Like,
Well, you also have to understand that the whole 4K 60 frames per second, all that's hard to show over a stream. You're probably watching it in 1080p. It's depending on your internet speed and everything else.
Well, Horizon Zero Dawn didn't have a problem.
Well, if you look at some of the games, if you look at and we'll get into some of these later, but even games like when they showed State of Decay and Forza Motorsports and some of those games like that did show the power of the Series X.
Sure.
But the other thing about it is the showcase. Hell, we're gamers, and I know all kinds of gamer friends who who are Xbox people and didn't even know that there was a showcase. And the same thing went for the PlayStation people. So it's not like a showcase is going to make or break your sales. What's going to end up happening, because Microsoft has way more money than Sony, is that they're going to be able to drop a more powerful console at a cheaper price point.
Yeah, but what are they doing with it, bro?
But that argument that you're using right now is a pertinent argument for all of the other previous generations. But in this generation, there are legitimate exclusives that I'm excited about.
That's
And
true.
so they are doing something with it. They are they've bought all kinds of studios now to make exclusives because they've kind of heard the voice of the people saying, "Hey, PlayStation has all these exclusives. We don't have nothing."
But in their big
So
exclusive show, they showed a bunch of like teaser trailers without any gameplay. And it's like, dude, if you weren't ready to show the gameplay, why show the trailer? Like, it's just one of those things. You can get people hyped for the idea of a game, but nobody really knows what the game is. Like that one game, Everwild, it looks great. It looks very unique. I love it, and I love everything in it, but I don't know what it is. Like, I don't. They don't let you
well,
know.
there's definitely a few games where I'm just kind of thinking like, how does this play? What kind of
Yeah.
game is it? What is it? A RPG? Is it a shooter? Like, what is it? I definitely understand that. I
Yeah.
do get that. But different people, different companies do their showcases differently.
True,
You
but
know, and that's a range. That's across all different kinds of businesses.
But that
You know,
last
so
conference, they had the same issue, and people told them that. And this conference, they barely fixed it. It's like, you know,
well, I will agree with you. Just like PlayStation, with me not being a PlayStation guy,
mhm.
the PlayStation showcase didn't make me want to run out and go buy a PS5. You
True.
know, even though they show gameplay. So, but now I will fully admit I'm an Xbox guy. This showcase has made me more excited about the Series X, even more so than I was before. And it wasn't gameplay that I was necessarily looking for. I wanted to know what I was dealing with. Now, it did leave me wanting more gameplay. I will admit that.
Yeah, but
But
like, that's you,
just
brother.
knowing, it's just like with Fable. You know, I don't have to see the gameplay necessarily of Fable right now. I just know that there's another Fable game coming. We've been waiting for years for
Hmm.
this. So now that I know that there's a Fable game, it's like that alone is hype.
Yeah.
Like in some of these other games, like you know, I mean, we're going to dive into these here in just a second, but even a game like Avowed, they didn't
Mhm.
necessarily show any gameplay of that, but I am pumped as hell for that game. Like I'm gonna go ahead and go put it on pre-order. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily based on the gameplay that I'm seeing, because we've all know that I've seen gameplay that didn't pan out to be exactly how it is when you play it.
Well, the thing is, there's the cinematic trailers don't tell you how anything's gonna play when it comes out. You have a cinematic trailer of what's it called? State of Decay 2, and then that came out and it was garbage. Like, it was one of those things that, like, they could tell you anything in this trailer, but until you see it, you don't even know how it plays, or if it plays the way you would like it, or if it does something completely different. And those are the things that, like, truly matter. Like, I think sometimes we, like, get enthusiastic about things we like and then see it and be like, hey man, that looks dope. I've done it myself, but after The Order 1886, which looked immaculate, one of the best games out at the time, like, one of the best looking games out at the time, I pre-ordered that stuff. I got it. It was trash. And I'm like, no, no more will I let these cats just lie to me with some sort of pre-rendered trailer without anything to show that this is a real game. Now,
Well, I
now,
definitely agree with you, but you have to also admit this. This is a unique year. This is just kind of a weird year. Typically, we would have E3. We
yeah.
would have, all of these other bigger conferences that these consoles and these companies would then go and do their their gameplay footage there, or maybe their teaser reveal there, and then
Mm-hmm.
they would save the showcase for the gameplay, or whatever. You know what I mean? This
Mm-hmm.
year, E3 is canceled. All of the other major conferences are canceled. So I can kind of see him playing chess instead of checkers and kind of doing some more teaser stuff with this one, but then doing more gameplay in
Yeah.
the next one.
And the thing is, Sony,
Maybe
it didn't hurt Sony though. Like, Sony didn't have to do that. Like, the thing is, you said, like, these things happen,
so
but they hurt
play,
Microsoft. But Sony knows
PlayStation
how.
fans, are giving negative reviews just as much as the Xbox fans are on their showcase.
Well, the
There,
thing
there's a
is,
lot of
there's
there's
a
a lot
lot
of
of
PlayStation fans that are left wanting a lot more from that showcase. So
of
it's not
course,
like
but
they knocked it out of the
there's a
park.
lot of general consensus that their show was better because they actually had things to show. Like, they actually showed, like, their indies and their and their exclusive titles, and they showed gameplay. You knew what they were. Like, the thing is, like, they didn't hide anything from you, but the Xbox is like, hey man, we got this and we're coming with this, and then when it shows, it's like, what is this? Like, bro, like, it's like, It doesn't even look as good as things that are out right now, but you have the most powerful machine. And also, you're telling me that you have gameplay and you don't. Like, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like, Philip Spencer, you need to stop letting that man lie to you. Like, because Phil Spencer's just lying to his.
Well, I think it's yet to be seen, bro. I really do. I think that it's now if
he has a history, bro. This is
Phil Spencer's also brought Xbox back. So you know, so what I'm saying is that if the showcase in August is more of the same and no more gameplay than what it is now, it's not going to reveal some gameplay of some of these games that we're piquing our interest with games like Everwild, games like Avowed. You know, they've piqued my interest. Well, if this next showcase doesn't have a little bit of gameplay of those games, I will be 100% on board with you. But if this next showcase does have gameplay, then I think they're genius. I think that they're playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. They're piquing your interest and then giving you the meat a few months later. You know what I'm saying? Once people's already gone out and start pre-ordering stuff and start doing stuff. Now, bam! Now they're seeing the gameplay and they're like, "Oh shit, that is awesome!" You know,
man. Philip Spencer.
They could prove me wrong.
Philip Spencer has been trying to play chess for the last generation, and it didn't go well the last generation. Like it's just one of those things. Like they keep saying these things, but they don't show up. Like, and you know, and the thing is, Halo. I know you loved it, man. You're a Halo fan, but the general consensus was that was underwhelming. Like that was not what people were waiting for. Like, you know, and trust me, I've been looking at this all day on everyone's channel, from the mid guys to Xbox guys to PlayStation guys. I never want to see this conference again in my life. Like, that's how many times I've seen it. And the general consensus is like they're not digging it. Like, you know.
Well, I've been reading them all too, and you know the stuff. These Halo fans, you got to understand, because I am one of these Halo fans. And I've been dealing with these Halo people all the time, since I began my console journey and switched from the computer. They're never going to be fucking happy. They're never going to be happy. I was watching these Xbox guys, do this post at first, and, they were excited at first because it had returned back to form, back to the old Halo. You know what I'm saying? Like how it felt and all that. Well, then they saw that you could sprint. And now, oh my God, you can sprint. Oh, I'm so angry. It's just, to me, it's just kind of silly. Halo, the graphics was another big thing. People forget that Halo's never been about the graphics. They've always been more cartoony and more, kind of rounded edges and shit. They've never been some huge, this is
but it's like,
going to completely display all of our graphic
I don't believe it was just the graphics. Halo's. It was just like how bland everything was. There was no real style, because if there's people who posted things of Halo Reach in 2007 where they have a stage that has actual like shadow and things like that, and it just looks like a more intense.
They've
stage.
also came out. They've also came out and said this is just a reveal. We have a long time until the release, and we're constantly working on it every day.
They had years, bro. They've been working on it for years.
Like, bro. Well, I think that you're a PlayStation fanboy, and I think
bro.
that you don't know how to act because you're
bro. Because the thing is, I call out PlayStation. I just called out one of their exclusives when I called out Order 1886. That was trash. You know what? Killzone Shadowfall. That was trash. It's like Infamous Second Son. This is going to be very controversial. It was trash because the thing is, I like games, bro. I like games.
All you need to hear, Sleepy, is this. Set a fire in your heart, Spartan. Bare your fangs. Fight hard.
All right.
Die well.
You know what? I did like Discount Thanos' speech now. I did like his speech. But no. Let's get into the actual games, because we've been sitting there debating the conference for I
got you. Hey, let's save Halo. I'm going to go in order, but let's save Halo for last, because that's kind of the creme of the creme of this whole thing. So let's start off with State of Decay 3. What is your initial reaction?
I like the trailer. I like the ambiance that they're setting up. I just need to see something, because the second one, did so poorly and it got better. They got better. Don't worry. They improved it as time went on. But the thing is, the second one had such a poor launch that you can't really trust them on the third one unless you see something.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think that just based on the trailer itself, it was one of the better looking games, and one of the kind of the ones where it's like, oh wow, this looks cool. Um, you know, I mean, let's just face it, zombie deer. I mean, come on, zombie deer eating a fucking wolf. That's pretty.
I think it was
It's
just
pretty
like
cool.
hardcore. It's just like, yeah, no, this wolf ain't shit, bro.
Yeah, when the lady like shrieks at the wolf and it takes off running, it's like, oh shit, this lady's crazy. But um, I have to agree, it did kind of pump me up at first until I saw the State of Decay, and
Yeah.
then I was like,
You never know, man. And the thing is,
you
that's a
know,
good trailer. It's a good trailer, but
yeah, it was. But I played the last one, man, and it was not very good. Now, granted, I did not play it in depth and finish it out or anything like that. But the good hour and a half or so that I played of it, I was not impressed.
mm,
Um, so that one looks promising. It looked amazing. Um, but I'm not going to go out and pre-order it or nothing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like if they show me some good gameplay, that'll spark my interest. But because I would love to get something like that on like maybe a PC or something, because I'm gonna be trying to get a more powerful PC here soon. And one thing before we continue, did you see the pre-show?
The pre-show.
Yeah, the pre-show. There was a show before the show, and I didn't know, and I saw it today, and I was like, Jesus, well, these were great games. Why wasn't this in the show? Like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was some good games. I saw. So I didn't see the pre-show because when I turned it on the stream, it was just a countdown.
Yeah.
And then it cut in. But after the fact, I watched people's reactions to the games and all this kind of stuff, and they were talking about games that were not covered in the showcase.
Yeah.
So there were some really awesome sounding games, and the way they were talking about it, they didn't show any footage of them.
Because
But
Watch Dogs Legions looks dope. Like Watch Dogs and I like Watch Dogs. I know that's a little bit contentious. Watch Dogs 1 was, kind of not that great. 2 was much better, but 3, look, like Legion looks dope. Like
in Watch Dogs, the game where you can like control everything, like you
on your
control.
cell phone, yeah, yeah, it's one of
Yeah,
those. The first one, it was just didn't click over well. But the second one got so much better, and I think this one is nice because the thing they're doing in this one is that almost everybody you meet you can use. So like if your character dies, he's just gone forever, and you'll use another guy.
yeah, that
It's
does sound dope.
That's crazy. But let us continue.
Yeah,
Let's get to
I wish
Cyberpunk.
they would have showed some of those. But the next game they showed was the Forza Motorsport.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, first and foremost, out of this world graphics. That was one of those games that they showed that really showed off the ability of the Series X. I think. Um, I know there's a lot. I have a lot of friends who are car buffs and love cars and everything like that. Shout out to Greg over at Nerd Nation. He's one of those guys where he's like so into it he could like pimp out his car on the game, how it would optimize their performance in
Mm-hmm.
real life and all this kind of stuff. Racing games aren't really me. Um, you know, I'll whoop anybody's ass in Mario Kart. But beyond that, beyond that, I'm not a huge racing fan, person. So, but it did look amazing as they usually do.
Well, I just want to say real fast, Austin, I see you, bro. I see you over there. We're just really into this conversation, and we're gonna bring up those games. We are definitely gonna bring up those games. So don't I see you, bro. But Forza, yeah, it looks good. Like I know it was supposed to be in engine graphics and everything like that is what he said. But just like you, it's not very exciting to me. It's just like what's it called, Gran Turismo. It's like it's nice, and if you're an enthusiast, you'll probably really enjoy this. Pretty boring though.
Yeah, yeah,
Unless you could throw a turtle shell or a rocket in this racing game, I don't really care.
yeah. There's definitely a segment of people who are racing game fans. I am not one of those people, but I can understand. The
Yeah. I'm in that
the
high octane F-Zero, Mario Kart, what's it called, Jack Racing, like those kind of ones where you can use power ups and stuff. That stuff's always fun,
it's kind of more party games. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just fun.
but let's
So
continue.
as moving on, the next game they showed is one we kind of touched on earlier is Everwild. Um, for me, it definitely piqued my interest. There was no gameplay. We didn't know really what it was, but it's really funny to me the way that I wrote this down on my notepad when I was watching it. It was late at night, and I was watching it again, redoing my notes or whatever. And what it seemed like to me is the Avatar movie, like
Mm-hmm.
with the blue guys and
Yeah,
the actual movie. and
We're
the Avatar, the Airbender, had a,
going.
had a baby, and they put it in Breath of the Wild graphics. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it was like the animals that were in that world and everything. They looked like they were from the Avatar Airbender.
Yeah.
Um,
And it had like this.
I dig the Breath of the Wild graphics. I really, Prince of Persia kind of ruined me from the shell shading and all that,
Mhm.
but the Breath of the Wild is kind of its own unique little kind of look. Um, but the world itself is very intriguing to me. Like the whole idea of everything being connected and the way that they were, like it really piqued my interest. But this is one of those games, like we talked about before, that I really wish we had some gameplay on.
Yeah, I just want to know what it is. Like that's the thing about it is like I like the world you're setting up, and I like the fact because what I see from the trailer is like, are you going to be using other animals and stuff and connecting with them through nature, and then using them to like build stuff and craft, or like because it doesn't look like a game where you're gonna be fighting things. So
Yeah, it doesn't really look like there's much fighting going on.
yeah, it
Now they
looks
did have some weapons. I mean, but I don't know how they're going to use those weapons or
Yeah, it
whatever.
looks like more of a calm kind of game, that's more going to be more a little peaceful, more about creativity than slaughter. But if I, once again, if they have some gameplay and I can see what it is and what it's doing, it definitely could pique my interest. Definitely, have a powerful PC or something like that. I'd get on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be something I want to check out.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in it. So the next game that they showcased was Tell Me Why. Um,
I know it's not your type of game. I know it's not your type of game, bro. But these games
yeah,
actually do have a cult following. Like Life is Strange. Like surprisingly enough, people really like that.
well, the game just looks meh. You
Yeah,
know,
it does.
for me, it looks like a very interesting premise for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like the trailer seemed like a movie trailer to me.
Yeah.
Um, it just seemed so cheesy and like it was bad voice acting and
Seemed
now
like a teen movie.
I did read somewhere that this game is going to be, and I don't know if this is true or not, so don't quote me on this, but I read somewhere that this game is going to be one of the first games ever that has a transgender protagonist.
Yeah.
Like the main character is going to be transgender.
Yeah, I heard that.
I didn't pick up on that.
I
They
didn't.
showed flashbacks from when they were kids and they were brother and sister as kids.
I just.
So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I didn't really see
Yeah, I don't.
that either. Like.
But I mean, the boy did sound feminine. I felt like the it was just bad voice acting when you were watched it. It did not. I was not impressed with that game. I think it would be better as a movie than a game personally. But like you said, it's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, before I get into the game, let me tell Austin was asking what the premise is. The premise is a boy and a girl that are remembering stuff from their past that their mother did that they can't quite figure it out, and they have these supernatural powers to kind of see events when they when they remember something, and that's
Yeah,
that's all we have right now.
yeah. Different things were triggering these like very vivid memories for both of them. It was interesting.
Yeah, but like it's definitely not my type of cup of tea. But if you like Life is Strange or games of that manner, like Detroit Become Human. I keep on calling it Detroit Destroy All Humans, but like like, but if things like that, things that are more talking based, more of a story, you might like that. But and not really my cup of tea either. I'm gonna be just real
Yeah.
with you. I've never been into walking games or heavy story games. Like story games that have gameplay in them, that's fine. But other than that, like I can't do the heavy story.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Well, so the next few games, so the next one they showed was Ori and the Will of the Wisps, but they're remaking it for Series X. It's going to be on the smart delivery. Love the game, love the premise. Ori's awesome.
Yeah,
Little side piece. I think Ori should be the next DLC for Super Smash Brothers. Personally,
dude, that
um,
would be great. That's awesome.
I think it would be dope. But I'm not sure why that's on the showcase. It's kind of like
Yeah,
y'all just came. Yeah, it's just.
it's filler. It's like you're filling in a spot, and it's like if you're gonna fill in that spot, bring those other games you were talking about. Like
Right.
like but
Make a new one,
yeah,
motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. Ori 3, I'm like, oh snap, we're in it. Like
right.
but I mean, I'm glad it's coming to that. But I'm pretty sure, or that's the one thing the PlayStation doesn't have is Ori too. They They don't get Ori.
Well, it's available on the PC and the Switch though.
Yeah,
It's
I know the
interesting.
Switch. I don't know the second one on the Switch yet.
I don't know about that.
All
I'm
right.
not sure. But the guy did, say about the graphics being upgraded and about the sounds and the music being upgraded and all that. But it's still,
Uh,
to me, it's the same shit as GTA 5 and what's the other one? Sleep.
the Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim. That are like they're just completely repackaged and sold every freaking time.
Yeah, I see
But
you, Austin. Yeah, they were kind of pressing the Game Pass pretty hard. Like the Game
yeah,
Pass is really good.
every game they showed was on the game.
Yeah, and I mean,
Which, but we'll get into this later. I have a note to talk about this later, but just to touch on it really quickly, the Game Pass is kind of Xbox's trump card here.
yeah,
Um, the Game Pass really is. We'll get into that a little bit in just a second. But I'm a fan of Ori. I think it's an awesome game and everything, but I don't know why it's on the showcase. You have any
yeah.
other thoughts on that? Or you want to move on?
Yeah, you could just move on. Like, I mean, we both like the game. I just think, it's just not really. It wasn't a really good move to bring a game that's already out here.
I agree. And then, like you were saying earlier, right after that, they hit us with another DLC, which is annoying, which was the Outer Worlds Peril on Gorgon. Um, I was never into Outer Worlds. I actually downloaded it off the Game Pass and tried to play it. Uh, you know, I'm just not. It just looks silly to me. I'm not really into it. Now, it did get me hyped though because when they first showed the trailer, I thought it was a new BioShock series. I thought it was the next BioShock game because it looks
Mm-hmm.
very similar to it. But it wasn't. Obviously, it was an Outer Worlds DLC, which was annoying as shit to me.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's on an asteroid called Gorgon, and it's cool and everything. If you're an Outer Worlds fan, I'm just
I played a
not
good
happy with it.
portion of Outer Worlds. I played a good portion on it because it's really reminiscent of Fallout. Like it's very reminiscent of Fallout, and the thing is they have the thing I think that Outer Worlds is that makes it a little bit better than the current Fallouts that are out is the fact that they have the options that they took out in Fallout 4. The speech options, whether you're intelligent or you're stupid, and you could just all these crazy things you could say and get into. They kind of took that out in Fallout 4. So I think with that return to form was good, but the gameplay in itself, the combat doesn't hit very hard at all.
Yeah,
It does. It's you can throw a grenade and it feels like you just threw a pillow at him.
I agree. I thought it kind of looked silly.
Yeah.
I wasn't very moved by it.
Yeah, but you can go ahead and move on. We don't really need to talk about the DLC, man. I'm just real with you now. Like, we can just move on to we already know what the DLC is. I mean, even Phantasy Star Online 2, which has a big following. It's like, bruh, it's been out for 12 years. Don't do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to cover. I wrote down little small snippets on every game they showed, so
Yeah.
I mean, we can pass over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, this next game actually really kind of piqued my interest. This is the one that you and Austin talked about last episode. Is Grounded.
Yeah.
It's basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in a survival game. It looks really cool and interesting, and I think that it should be fun. The trailer was funny as hell. Had me laughing. The premise is awesome. I am very interested in getting that game. I'll definitely download it off the Game Pass and play it.
Now, one thing about that game, because I like the premise, I like everything about it, and I like them digging into a good indie, something that's inventive and fun. The one thing about it is early access on Steam. So,
Oh, is it really? I didn't
yeah,
know that.
it's also early access on Steam. So what that means is that game is early access. That game is not done. That game is definitely going to get finished and get better, but in its current state, it may not be,
Great.
great, because there may still be things to what's it called, to tweak and fix, because that's what you got to do with games. This is what you got to do. It's whether you do it before or after it comes out, but it's your choice.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I don't think that's the kind of game that's ever going to be like some great status or anything like that. I think that's going to be the kind of game that's just fun. That's just fun to play.
yeah.
Maybe kids can get into it, or old school Honey I
You just
Shrunk the
don't want it
Kids
to be
fans.
jank. You just don't want it to be
Yeah.
something where it's like, dude, why am I not moving? Are you falling through textures? Stuff like that. You don't want it to be there. Yeah, that's the thing you don't want. Like, so
Yeah, but
hopefully,
it's pretty cool.
yeah.
The next game they showed was Avowed,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked so dope. Oh my god, it looks so fucking dope. Um, it felt the reason it felt so dope to me, and I'm biased in this, is I am a huge Elder Scrolls fan. I loved Oblivion. I loved Skyrim. Such awesome games, and that's what it felt like to me. Of course, it's a first-person RPG. It's coming out of Obsidian Studios,
Mm-hmm.
same people who make Fallout and Outer Worlds and Knights of the Old Republic 2. I have really, really high hopes for this game. It looks epic.
I had to agree. I 100% agree. I since it's Obsidian and it's set in that world because it's supposed to be set in the Pillars of Eternity world. I know you probably never played that, but it is a RPG that a computer RPG that came out a little while ago. They've had a second one as well, and it has pretty good following. And it's set in that world. So
Oh, I
I
didn't know that.
yeah, I didn't know that either, but I've been looking at it all day, and then I've got that information, and I'm like, oh snap, it's Pillars of Eternity world. I'd like to see where they go with it, and the fact that it's Obsidian means that they're gonna have the RPG mechanics that I enjoy. The one thing I just really hope, because the thing is with Obsidian and Bethesda itself, is that their fighting systems are a little like, I wish this was better. I love this game. I wish this was better. So I need to see the action actually go, because when he did the little symbol and everything like that, I was like, oh snap, here we go, and then it just cut off, and I was like, damn.
Yeah,
And like I was like, I want to
it
see him
looked
at least fight
it looked
something.
like Doctor Strange was about to do a fucking spell. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
it was very well done. I just needed to see exactly what happened. So when I get that gameplay, bro, I'm on board with that one. That one was dope.
That's definitely. There were 4, 5 maybe games that I were really hyped for, and this is one of the top ones.
Mm,
It's one of these studios that Xbox just bought, Obsidian Studios, and this was the game that they wanted to be their first game as an Xbox studio. So I'm really hoping that this is going to work out because it looks so dope.
yeah, yeah. Being Obsidian, and the thing is, like, whatever you feel about the Outer Worlds, it did well. It was
Yeah,
critically and financially good. So I think that Xbox is going to pump the proper amount of funds to make this good. So like I'm excited for this one as well.
yeah. So the next game is As Dusk Falls. Um, this is a brand new studios making this game called Interior Night. It's an indie game. Very unique graphic style.
Mm-hmm.
Um, doesn't look like my cup of tea. But again, this is one of those games where there was not any gameplay, and don't even really know what it is.
Yeah.
It was like literally live action people cut in different ways. I don't know. It's hard to explain what it is if you haven't seen it. It's very unique graphic style. I'll give it that. But it doesn't look like something that I'm necessarily into.
I'm just I just want a whole pass, man. It just looks like emotional baiting trash. Like like
Yeah,
like you're
yeah,
just gonna be there the whole time going, oh, I should feel things now, right? Cool. Maybe you should put a game here, and then I would have felt something.
right.
Like,
So I'm returning. You killed my father in a bank robbery. I got your letters.
yeah, and it's like, dude, just make a movie, bro. If you want, it's the same thing I said with what's it called? I just said it. It was Detroit, Become Human. Make a movie if you want to, dude. Don't put this in a game. I don't want to actually clean things up. Like,
Oh, that's how I feel. That's how I feel about Tell Me Why as well. I
yeah,
feel the same way about.
like,
The next game they kind of went over, and it wasn't anything. There was no footage, nothing about it. It was just an announcement that they're making a Hellblade 2.
yeah.
Um,
They said it's
first
built in
Hellblade was
Iceland.
first Hellblade was dope.
Yeah.
So it looks promising. So hopefully that something comes of that.
I just really think they should have showed something, man, because they didn't even show like a trailer. Like, it was like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
it was just a guy talk. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I was like, bro, show something. That's your big game.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
The next game, me and you kind of talked about this in a phone call the other day, but is Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
It's a cult classic. Um, you know, They showed more Jack Black than they showed anything else. Um, it's pretty strange, weird, trippy kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, I don't necessarily get it.
Oh, dude.
Um, but Feel Mobile, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
In the bus, called Feel Mobile.
Yeah.
But I don't quite get it. I've never really played the first Psychonauts. I know about it. I know it's a cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't pique my interest in this
Like the
in
thing
this
is, this
showcase.
trailer didn't do anything for me, but I am still hyped for Psychonauts, bro. I beat the first one. Psychonauts is basically about uh mind spies, but they train as spies to infiltrate people's minds. Like,
Okay, okay.
and
So that's
that
why he put the little door down into the brain.
exactly. This thing is, and when you go into the mind, personifications of your emotions and how you feel show up as enemies or friends. So it's one of those things that's like, it's really Persona 5 ish, honestly. But I know you never played that either. But it's basically about the personifications of our feelings and stuff within the mind and them invading it to get information and stuff like that because they're spies. It's pretty dope game. And it's one of those games that's more about the comedy and the platforming. And honestly, I know they show more blackjack than anything, but I'm still hyper Psychonauts. I've been wanting Psychonauts 2 forever. But the thing is, I don't think that's going to be exclusive. Like,
Oh, is it not going to be an
I
exclusive?
think it may be timed exclusive because this one thing with like a Xbox. Another thing I say with their conferences, they're saying this it's a launch exclusive, but some of them say 2021. The launch is in 2020. Like,
Right.
so I think what it is it when it launches, it's exclusive to Xbox for a certain amount of time, and then it'll be released to everybody else. Like, I believe that's my interpretation of it. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what I get from when you say something like launch exclusive, but it happens after your launch.
Right. Well, that
Yeah,
is kind of weird.
yeah. So,
Austin Hermie cracked that beer open. That's funny.
uh,
So the next game, we'll breeze over this really quickly. Is the Destiny 2 Beyond Light. That is going to be the new Destiny 2 game they're making. It's going on Game Pass. All the original Destiny 2 and all the DLCs that came out so far is all going to be on Game Pass. So that's pretty cool. I like seeing Bungie kind of making amends with Xbox after the whole Bungie 343 thing.
mm,
That's good to see. I'm not a huge Destiny fan. I played the first one, and I did enjoy it. I loved it, the first one. But once the second one kind of came out, I didn't. I rented it and played it a little bit. I liked the system of it and the play of it, but um, if this would have been Destiny 3 or something like that, I would have been a little bit more hyped about it. But
like,
they're kind of. It seems to me like they're kind of going Fortnite and all this kind of stuff has kind of changed the game with that.
like,
I've even heard Call of Duty talking about it. That they're not really making numbered sequels anymore.
mm-hmm,
They're going to come out with seasons. So you're going to release one game, like for instance Fortnite or whatever, and instead of coming out with Fortnite 2, you're just going to come out with season 4 or season 5 or
yeah,
whatever, and you're
games
going to
as a
continue on with
service
the season.
game.
And that's what Destiny's kind of doing at this
Yeah,
point too.
like
So
my personal feelings. This is my personal feelings about Destiny. As a game, it's all right. As a business model, it is a blight upon gaming. It is a
yeah,
cancer. Like Destiny 2 is a cancer. It is something their business practices were so egregious that they had to make it go free to play because people were revolting against them because they were doing everything in the book to get you to pay more. Like they
yeah,
were chopping up their game into 3 parts. They were putting out they were making you not gain experience so you couldn't get the next what's it called, Bright Ingram. They were just like, bruh, they were so shady. I spit upon Destiny and everything they stand for. Like, I played Destiny 1. I bought Destiny 1, and when they told me, and then when that game ended, I was like, are you kidding me? And then they tried to sell me 3 more DLC for $30 each. Screw Destiny. Like I'm sorry. Like, that's my personal opinion. That's not That's that. You don't really take that with like it's not, but I spit upon them.
This viewpoint is not
Yeah,
is not indicative of
of
2 Deaf
two
Gaming.
deaf games.
Yep.
This is my personal opinion. I just think they're trash and they're cancer upon gaming. But that's just me.
There are a lot of Destiny fans out there.
My
Moving
bad.
on.
My bad.
I spit on me. But so the next game they showed was Stalker 2.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm pumped for this game. I'm not. I'm familiar with the original Stalker, but it's been years. It's a horror RPG shooter kind of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a Metro game at first when they first showed it. I really thought it was kind of the new Metro title. But it looked good, man. It looked really cool. The premise of being a stalker is kind of interesting to me. They're kind of going into this Chernobyl kind of town, but times 10. Super radioactive cities and all this kind of stuff, and you're falling into it. It's going to be a console exclusive as well. It looked really good. I'm pretty pumped about it. I wouldn't count it as in one of the 4 or 5 of my top ones I'm pumped about, but Stalker 2, I think it's going to be good.
I don't know much about Stalker. I know it's a PC game that's come over to Xbox, and they're gonna make this second one. And I don't know much about it. But from what I saw from everybody who watched it, everybody was really hype about that one. So I don't really know much, but the trailer looked dope. It has very atmospheric. Had the whole, like you said, Metro vibe of a kind of ruined, rundown place, and you're scavenging through it and stuff like that. That's always cool. So, once they show that gameplay, I'm in. I know a lot of people don't even need that gameplay because, they know what it is. So I just need to know what it is, and I could be down for it. But go ahead and give your feelings to the next one. I'm going to get some water real fast.
Okay.
All right.
So the next game is Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide. When I first saw it, I thought that it was DLC, but I have since done the research, and it's not DLC. It's a brand new Warhammer game. This whole Warhammer 40,000 has evidently tons of books written about it, and it has this whole entire world that exists there that I'm not super familiar with. But I've obviously, being in the gaming industry, I've come across Warhammer quite a bit. Like I said, I thought it was a DLC when I first watched it, but it is not. It's a brand new game. It's a console launch as well. It looks so freaking awesome. It really has a lot of potential. It's definitely going to be one of these games that I check.
I think that the fact that it's a first-person Warhammer game really sells it because Warhammer's never done that. And it lends itself to that. They've had a third-person hack and slasher before. They always have their strategy games. They've had Vermintide. And, actually, Vermintide was a first-person Warhammer game. So, hopefully it doesn't fall into Vermintide. Vermintide's good, but it's a little, stilted into kind of one thing. It's basically a horde game where you go in with a group of people and you got to fight off these hordes.
Yeah. And it looks like it's that, but a shooter.
Yeah, that with a shooter, and
it's almost like a zombie game or something. It looked interesting. There's all kinds of lore to this whole Warhammer 40,000 thing.
Bruh, the lore is so thick. Like I played the 3D hack and slash. It was pretty dope. I liked it.
That game has a lot of potential. There's a lot of promise in that game. So the title, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a stickler here, but the title just seems too clunky. Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide. Why didn't they just call it? I don't know.
But you would say that Warhammer 40K.
Okay.
That's how that's usually how you say it. Warhammer 40K. That's what you would usually go for.
So it's just the name seems clunky, but the game looks awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
The next game that came up actually kind of caught me off guard a little bit. At first, I kind of wrote it off, but the more I think about it, I think it's kind of cool. Is Tetris Effect Connected? You laugh, I know, but it's Tetris, which is the quintessential game. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it's multiplayer. You know what I'm saying? It looks awesome, but it's Tetris with teamwork. You know what I'm saying? So you can have like 3 players and you can play together in
Mm-hmm.
Tetris. So you have to communicate. You have to talk where you're going to put this block, where you're going to put that block. Um, it puts a whole new spin on Tetris.
True, but
They've reinvented Tetris with that game.
no.
So
Here's the thing though.
I think it looks awesome. I'm not paying
Yeah.
$70 for that game, but luckily it's on the Game Pass.
Here's the
You know what I'm
thing
saying?
though.
I'll download the Game Pass.
Here's the thing though. That game's not new. Tetris Effect was out for the PlayStation like a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Like,
it was, but
yeah.
it wasn't multiplayer.
It was multiplayer. Now, the Switch added something that was called Tetris 99, which was a battle royale Tetris.
Ah,
And the
yeah,
thing is,
I'm not familiar with that either.
yeah,
So.
Tetris 99 is actually dope because it is a battle royale Tetris, and it looks hard. Like, because once you start getting down to 1 or 2 people, it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's just doop falling down like that. And so, I once again, don't think it was a good idea to show in this showcase. Like,
I disagree with that. I think it was. I'm a Tetris fan, but it's one of those games where it's just so repetitive. It's so repetitive. It's so repetitive. I literally have had the thought before in the past that if Tetris could be somehow multiplayer, it would be dope. I kind of fell out of it. This is the first time I've ever seen Tetris put out as a multiplayer game. I think it's going to be more popular than you think.
I think no. The thing is, Tetris Effect is not. It's not that Tetris Effect isn't popular because when it came out the first time, it was popular. Tetris 99 is popular, and the thing is, all the derivatives like Street Fighter, like Puzzle Fighter, where you fight each other doing Tetris, like it's a versus thing. So when you hit one, it goes over to the other person's thing. All the dead blocks goes over to the other person. All those derivatives, they do well. It's just the fact that I don't think they should have showed it in the showcase. They were trying to wow people because just the game's fun and it does well, but it's not something you show to wow people. Like,
well, me personally, I didn't really know about Tetris. I've heard of Tetris 99, but I didn't know anything about it. And this one seems like it's more teamwork more than versus.
mm-hmm.
I personally, like I said, at first I was kind of like, Tetris, really? You're showing this? But then the more that I saw it, the more that I thought about it, the more I looked into it, I think it was a good move, personally. We can agree to disagree on that.
Yeah, we probably disagree.
Yeah. So the next game I thought was pretty cool was called The Gunk. I thought it was pretty cool. It looks awesome and really fun. And you have this vacuum weapon, kind of like Luigi's Castle. I don't think it's going to be Game of the Year or anything like that. That's not what I'm kind of thinking of it, but it does look fun. It looks like it's worth checking out to me. It just looks like a fun game. You have this vacuum weapon, and you're kind of going through trying to solve different things. I think it looks like a cool little platformer.
Well, the thing that's working in its favor is that it's made by the people who made Steam World Punk 1 and 2, which are good games. Well, those are indie games, Steam World Punk, and I mean those are great. And if they're making this, I have no doubt that it's probably going to be fun. At the very least, fun. So I think the trailer didn't do it a lot of justice because all you did was kind of clean up stuff and do slight platforming. But like when the creatures showed up behind her, they just cut to another scene. I'm like, okay, she's not gonna fight them. What do they do? Like, it's like Luigi's Mansion, kind of Mario Sunshine, where you're going around cleaning stuff up to heal the area around you. But like I need to kind of see what the better mechanics are in that because it looks a little dull.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I definitely get it. They didn't really explain anything what the gunk was or what it was about.
Or show me something like truly impressive that you could do with the gun because all you did was clean it and then slide platforming. Like I need to see what you could do. Am I sucking up and shooting it at people? Am I can I do stuff with it? I think those things would have helped it out a little more. Then because it looks fun and it has a nice Ratchet and Clanky look. Like
it does have that kind of look to it.
Yeah, but it just needs to explain a little bit more or show a little bit more impressive gameplay rather than just straight up walking down a hallway and sucking things up because that doesn't that's not impressive.
I have to say Luigi's Mansions are fun ass games. You have to say
they are. I haven't played the latest one, but I played the other ones.
Well, I'm debating buying Luigi's Mansion over Super Mario Odyssey. So.
That might be the good choice, bro. I'm gonna be real with
So the next game is the Medium.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Like, bro, I know you kind of, I don't know if you're so hot on it as I am, but it looks so dope. It's the spooky horror game that has these dual worlds of dark and light. And I'm not sure if the trailer, the way that they showed it, if it happens at the same time when you're playing it, or if it switches back and forth seamlessly as you play it. I think it's unique. I know that it's similar to kind of
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill and stuff like that. But I think it was so unique. It looks so spooky and so dope. Like the Medium is one of those games that I was really hyped on when I saw it. I just thought that the whole dual worlds was just really unique and really awesome. I don't know. I was pretty blown away with it. I'm definitely interested in picking it up.
I think it was a good trailer, and it was one of those things that, like, it kind of grabbed you. I think what would have helped that trailer in particular is to be a little bit more concentrated on one thing rather than just showing like a bunch of various things and being like, maybe you should just show somebody a real, like a villain or like a presence or something like that that's haunted. Because I'm like, what's she doing here? What's things like that? And those are things that are going to be explained later on. So those don't have to be put in the trailer. I just think it may have just helped it a little bit more. But as a trailer, it got across the spookiness that it needed to, and the fact that you're going into two worlds. And what you can do with that, what kind of puzzles that they're going to do, what kind of scary stuff they're going to do, that looks pretty good. I have to say the Medium is probably one of the better showings of the conference.
Yeah, and based on the kind of the reviews that I've seen elsewhere, it's been pretty general consensus that there's a lot of hype on that game. So hopefully it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, hopefully.
Next game that's coming up, you kind of touched on it earlier, is the new Genesis Phantasy Star Online 2. Looked interesting.
It looks
I think
good.
from what I understand, it's Sega's first teamwork with Xbox. The trailer for me was very.
It's an anime game, bro.
Yeah, bro. But like when the words came up, it looked very like Microsoft Paint. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's a massively online RPG. Like, so it's an MMO.
Yeah.
So you can only expect so good of graphics with that. There are some like Black Desert that look really good, but like Phantasy Star Online is also like a 12-year-old game.
Yeah, right.
Game, so
it looked like the modern Dynasty Warriors or like Horizon Zero Dawn on a budget. It looked like a game that I would think that you like. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what are you trying to say? You like those games? I'm be real with you. I like 99% of anime games are trash. They're not good. Like Dragon Ball Fighters is like the one really good one. And I'm sure there's people out there going, "Screw you!" if they ever see this. I like Sword Art Online. Well, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong, bro.
It looked interesting though.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good. The next game that they showed was Crossfire X. It looks great, man. I know it's kind of your typical shooter,
arena shooter.
And I've heard like the multiplayer and the single player are going to be separate, which is kind of weird. I've also heard the same rumor about Halo, which I hope is not true. I don't think it's going to be true, but
I believe Crossfire X is already out as far as the multiplayer.
Oh, I don't know, but it looked good. I really want to try it. It looked great, but it's kind of weird the whole multiplayer, single player being separate. I really, really hope they don't do that with Halo.
What I know about it, as far as what I've heard, watching this and everything, is that Crossfire X is a game that's a multiplayer arena game that's already been out in China, and that it's coming to Xbox, and they're going to put a story to it because it's never had a story, and I think that's why it's separate, because they're actually going to make a story to it, but the multiplayer is actually probably, I think you can play it right now. So
the title alone seems like an arcade game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You see it.
And I hear it's dope. I hear it's like dope. Like as far as a multiplayer game.
Well, I'm definitely pumped for it. Pumped for it. And then the final thing that they showed during the showcase was Fable. Didn't show a lot. Show Tinkerbell getting sucked up by a toad. But man, I'm so pumped. There's not a lot of info, but it looked great. It's like we talked about before we went on air. It's one of those things where they didn't show any gameplay, they didn't show hardly anything about it, but at least the fact that it is confirmed that it is happening, that fact alone has created so much hype for me because I am a Fable fan. I wasn't a fan of necessarily Fable 3. They kind of went into this modern era and stuff. But the Fable 1 and Fable 2 were huge games that I played. It's a really fun game. I don't know if they're rebranding it and just calling it Fable. I don't think it's Fable 4. I'm not sure on that. I don't have any information on that or not. But when they showed it, it was just Fable.
It might be
so
like a return, kind of like a not a remake, but what's it called, reboot.
Yeah, or something like they did with Warfare or something. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work, but I'm definitely interested in finding out some new information on it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the things. Like, the thing is, I never really played Fable. I played Fable just like a little on somebody else's console before, and I'm like, that's pretty dope as far as an RPG goes. I like, this is good. And the fact that it's coming out, I'm like, I would love to see some gameplay of it. I'd like to see, because the thing about what the Fable is, Peter Molyneux, the guy who made it, he liked to promise some big things. And a lot of times, some of those things wouldn't pan out. So I know this is a new studio. Peter Molyneux has nothing to do with it anymore, or whatever like that. I just want to see what it's going to look like and what they're going to do. And I'm totally on board because I'm good with the RPGs. I love RPGs, and the more of them, the better. So
Playground Studios is making this one. So.
Yeah, it's a totally different team. So you're probably you're not going to get the big promises Peter Molyneux used to give, like you can write your name on the tree and then it grow, and then you pick 8 and then the name would grow with the tree and shit like that. And I'm like, I don't know about that, Peter. like Last of Us 2 can't do that shit.
It's like Mella says, every Fable has lived up to the hype, and I agree. I think 1 and 2 definitely did. 3 was good. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a bad game.
None of them were bad. None of them were bad. It's just like there was. But
they took a different take on it.
Yeah.
It kind of went to that whole modern world, and it was a little different. But I'm not saying it's a bad game. So I definitely agree with you there, man. Yeah. I think every Fable game has lived up to the hype, and I really am looking forward to this one. This is one of those games that just the mere fact that I know what's happening now has got me pumped.
Yeah, and I think that was at least something. I'm glad they ended with that, because if they ended with the game before that, that would have been bad.
There's a lot of Xbox fans that sit around like expecting that to happen. So
yeah, well, and it was announced kind of earlier that they were doing it, so it wasn't a big surprise. But it wouldn't have been. But not having it would have been a bad.
It wasn't necessarily announced. Now there was talk about it being from underground, and there was some talk about it. But
it wasn't official, but like everybody expected it. Like
yeah. And it's been quite a while. So
yeah.
Well, so we'll go ahead and dive into the kind of the whole purpose of the showcase. This is kind of the whole. The crown jewel of the Xbox Game Showcase is Halo Infinite. So obviously, as everyone should know, I'm a Halo guy. It's what pulled me from the computer and got me to buy a console to begin with. I love Halo. I feel like this one, and I know there's a lot of different people talking about it in a lot of different ways. I thought that it was absolutely a return to form. Very much had an old school Halo feel, which I love. There were some things that were confirmed that the Halo community were kind of like losing their shit over. The Banished is confirmed. The grappling hook is confirmed. So those are dope. There's a lot of new things that they showed with it. The new map is like this 3D map. It's just not a circle on your screen anymore. You can actually open up the map and see this whole 3D situation. It's more of an open world game. There's new guns. This VK-78 Commando is this badass machine gun. It's almost like the Saw from the previous Halos. It looked really good. Um, they have the Ravager, which is this enemy gun. This is like a plasma shooter. It was dropped by a banished brute in the trailer. And then there's the shotgun handgun. I couldn't catch the name of it, but it looked really dope. And then they had the CQS-48 Bulldog, which is this badass shotgun with like a drum under it. It looked really cool. Um, I will say that during the trailer, the graphics were a little bit underwhelming for being the big reveal of what the Series S can do. Like you said earlier about some of the other previous Halo games that kind of show that Halo can do better than that. But let's be honest, Halo has never been too heavily worried about graphics. It's always been more animated and cartoony. So I'm not super concerned with like how realistic does it look or how awesome is it. Does it look? It still looked pretty good, and I think they're constantly working on it. The studio head at 343, Chris Lee, I just kind of have a little quote from him that I thought was really awesome about the open worldness of Halo. It said that Lee confirmed that the Halo Infinite play space will contain a full day and night spectrum, cycle, kind of like Red Dead Redemption does, where it becomes nighttime and it becomes daylight, and as well as a new upgrade system that will introduce players to new tools and abilities as they explore the game. So some of these discoverable toys could be vehicles or gadgets like Chief's new grappling hook, or they'll even let you kind of traverse more, like little tools that'll help and gadgets that'll help you traverse more around the world itself. So I think that this is probably going to be the most involved Halo campaign that we've ever seen. There's the Halo multiplayer has not been released yet. They haven't shown anything about it yet. From my understanding, that's going to be in the August showcase that they're going to have. But the single player, the campaign looks like it's going to be the most involved. It's going to be more open world. It's going to be really awesome. So, for me, you can call it anything you want. It can whatever. I'm going to be buying the new Halo. It looks dope. It sounds dope. I love that they're going with the Banished. I love some of the changes that they made. I know that some people were underwhelmed. Some people don't like the sprinting, and some people don't like that. But I am a firm believer that you're never going to be happy. Some of these Halo fans are never going to be happy with whatever they release.
Like I don't like new mechanics as far as like modern mechanics in a game. Like that should never be like I mean like do you want it to play old? Like
a lot of people do. There's a lot of purists who don't think that that's the sprint takes away from the feel of Halo.
Man, that's silly to me. Like, bro, like if your game doesn't have a sprint, you're moving slow as shit. like every game has it.
I agree with you. You remember when we were at the arcade expo?
Yes.
And we sat down and played Halo 2, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot there's no sprint.
Yeah, there's no way to move faster, bro. I was like, man, this is old. And I'm like, the thing is, new conventions are put into games because new abilities show up. Like people can make new things with better hardware, and you kind of have to embrace that change, man, because the thing is, it's like with Advanced Warfare or like Call of Duty when they had like they put all that like mech stuff and things like that in there, and it's like people hated it, but the thing is, you still wanted them to do something different. Like it's like you can't get mad at them for doing something different, and then you're like, I get that, make it the same, and it's like, oh well, dude, I think that's just silly.
Well, it's one of those things, and there's a lot of fan bases. It's like our friend Metal here said, Halo fans are just as bad as Gears of War fans.
And Star Wars
100% the truth. I picked up Gears 5. I've been a Gears of War fan since the original Gears of War. I personally think Gears 5 is an awesome game. There's a lot of people out there in the Gears community that hate it. They hate it. There are some mechanical problems with the shotgun firing and all that kind of stuff that's bullshit. I totally agree with that. But it is an awesome game. And I feel like the same thing's going to be with this game. There's some people you're just never going to make happy. They're just you get these fans of these certain games, and they're just toxic. And they're just nothing's going to make them happy. Nothing's going to be good enough. And you
Okay.
know, there are some legitimate concerns. You know, I do hope that the graphics end up a little bit better.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, some of the guys, you know, some of the things that I saw from some of the developers are like, listen, this is a work in progress. We're constantly working on these graphics every day. It's hard to see the full spectrum of what's happening on a stream with you know, because Xbox, you know, this whole showcase, they were really pushing this 4K 60 FPS thing. You know,
Yeah. They were.
they were really pushing it.
And then,
You know,
when
and
it came out, it was like, I mean, guys, you told us. And, it didn't really live up to that. The thing I'll say, and I won't even go to a big thing, I'll just say is this is probably 343's last chance. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
this is because they've had a lot of chances. And the thing is, whether you like the last, two Halos, 5 and 4, whether you liked them or not, it didn't really do well critically. It diminished. It didn't do horribly, but it diminished from where it was. And a lot of people blame 343 for that. And
Well, from my understanding, a lot of people disliked Halo 5's single player, but they liked the multiplayer.
yeah.
And I think it might have been the opposite for Halo 4. 343, they have not done as good a job as Bungie did. Let's just say that. You know, Lillis is also sitting there talking about the same thing we talked about earlier. Is, you know, what's the point of buying the new Xbox when you can run all the same games on PC with the Game Pass?
That's what I was saying earlier, Melis, is it's one of those things you're giving people more options is consumer friendly, and I like that. I like anything consumer friendly, but it's not the best business tactic.
Well, you know, it puts people like me. I'm old school, man.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I'm an old fart. So, like, you know, like Austin, he gets all his digital. Everything he gets, he does it digital.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, you know, he does everything digital. I like having the physical copy. I like having the game itself. So, like, it kind of puts me in a weird spot because all of these damn games, like Halo Infinite, I want to own that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm going to go buy it. I'm going to go spend the $70 to buy it, even though I'm a Game Pass member and I can just go download it for free. You know, who knows when they're going to take it off Game Pass, or who knows when, you know, all these kind of different things. But, you know, I am sitting here thinking, like, if you look at some of the games that I own digital, you know, like the hard copy of the games, you know, the Soul Calibers, the Tekken 7s, the Gears 5, the Halos, even the Soul Calibers now, they're all available on Game Pass now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sitting there like, why in the hell did I go spend all this money on these damn games?
Exactly.
But,
and that's great. And the Game Pass is dope. I had to say that as their selling point, honestly, is it. But the thing is, it felt like the conference was more about selling the Game Pass than the Xbox X series.
Well, and I think it is. I mean, I think it is. But there's even been rumors that they're going to do away with Xbox Gold. You know, because right now there's the Xbox Game Pass and there's the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And Millis, you're good, man. It's good that you missed it. I appreciate that you're tuning in now. We definitely appreciate your.
Yeah, after we're done, go back and watch the whole thing, all of it. Tell your friends to do the same exact.
But I really do think that the Game Pass is kind of the selling point and the trump card of Xbox over PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's because, you know, I can pay $15 a month or whatever I'm paying, and I can play all of those games for free. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And PlayStation Now does not compare. It's nowhere near Game Pass. It's kind of garbage.
Well, and it's like he's saying here in the chat here. You know, imagine if the Switch and the PS5 have Game Pass.
Now, Switch, you're never gonna see that on Nintendo.
Yeah,
never.
That goes against their business model.
Yeah, they don't do that.
But you know, I can see these other gaming companies seeing the mass success that Game Pass has had, and Jesus, I mean, just in its infancy, it's been amazing. You can imagine how they're going to improve it, how they're going to, you know, keep it going. But you know, I don't quite understand. Like, sometimes I feel like Microsoft is just like, we're like, hey, we're freaking rich. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's exactly
right. It's like, I was like, Bill Gates said, "Fuck it." Like, you know, all these games that they're putting on Game Pass, they could be. It's like Austin said, Gears 5's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
There's still people that would go pay $60 to buy Gears 5 today.
Yeah, and it's like the thing is, you You're removing like the thing is, like I said, it's consumer friendly. It's like, oh well, cool, thank you. It's not really good for you, but but thank you. You know, it's one of those things. It's like you kind of shoot yourself in the foot with that because it's like, bruh, like, and that's what I'm saying, dog. Phil, bruh, just what are you doing? Like,
well, it's funny to me. You know, it's funny to me. So like, we can kind of move on from Halo now. You know, I think that Halo is kind of one of these games where it's like, you know, I don't know if they're going to be getting any new Halo fans, but I guarantee even all these Halo people who are on here bitching about it online and all these people is bitching about it and all this, they still gonna go buy it though. You know what I mean? They're still gonna download it, they're still gonna play it. So we can kind of move on with that. But one of the things that, you know, one of the biggest missing things for me out of the showcase was two things: a price point,
oh god,
and a release date.
I'm
So
I'm tired of that shit. I'm the PlayStation 2. I'm so tired of like
they're dancing. They're dancing together. They're waiting. What's happening? I'm gonna tell you what's happening. Is Microsoft has made the decision that they're going to make the Xbox Series X cheaper than the PS5. They've already made that decision.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? So what's going to happen is they're waiting for PS5 to come out and say it's going to be $600. So they're like, oh, okay, cool. Ours is going to be $450. Yeah. Or ours is going to be $500 because they can do that. So that's exactly what they're waiting on. And you know, so it's like you know, maybe I have anxiety. I want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know when it's going to be released. Holiday's not good enough. You talk about Thanksgiving, you talk about Christmas.
Yeah.
Like,
is it going to be like November? Like, when is it coming out? Like, everybody's speculating November. Like, and the thing is, I don't know how much this is. Like, are you going to be 600? 700 is too much. Now, there was a thing, I forgot who said it, but they said nobody's going to buy a console over $500. Like, and the PlayStation 3 proved that because they tried to make it 600 and everybody was like, screw you. Like, right. And so the thing is 500 has to be the cap, guys.
Well, and there's going to be two price points, you know. There's going to be the one that takes discs and there's going to be the digital only. They both have it. So both the Series X and the PS5 both have the two options.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Melis, Stadia, I don't even know why they're here. Like, I don't know what Stadia was thinking. Like you know who Stadia is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, because the thing is, if you didn't know, it wouldn't be strange because it's garbage.
I definitely 100% agree with you. Yeah. So Melis, are you saying that the Series X is going to be 400 and the PS5 is going to be 500? Are you saying that they're both going to be the same price point? And 400 is going to be the digital, and the 500 is going to be the disc one.
Like the thing is, like I could see that, like 400, 500 between the two systems. Like as far
the Series X being 4 and the PS5 being 5?
No, not between the two systems, but like between their two versions of each.
Oh, the discless and the disc one.
Because the thing is, like, just because PlayStation we're going to do this, if Xbox goes way lower, the PlayStation will do it too. Like they're not gonna just be beaten. They're gonna what can we do? They're not gonna do that.
The PS5, the PlayStation version has typically been more expensive, anyways, right?
No, well the thing is 3, yes. 4, no. 4 is the Xbox is more expensive than the 4, and so that's why they're dancing because the PlayStation 3 was more expensive than the Xbox 360, and that really didn't help it at the beginning. And so they learned that and said, all right, we're only going to make it 400 for the 4. But then the Xbox made it like 500 because they had to add the Kinect onto it. So when they took that out and made it the normal price, it helped them out. Now they're sitting there dancing with each other like, oh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? It's like, dude, just grow a pair, dude. Say whatever it is, say it, and then drop it later like you're going to do anyways. Stop playing around. Like it's almost childish, honestly.
Well, they're doing it because this is like Xbox is kind of like finally said, "Fuck it, we're taking this console war shit serious." You know what I'm saying? Like they've kind of like blown it off, and like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and that did like you can see in this generation that didn't really work well for them. So they're finally taking it seriously. I don't think this conference was what they wanted. Like, I don't think
Austin. Sorry to cut you off. Austin, I don't think that they have announced any of that yet, although I definitely think that's going to happen eventually. The best of my knowledge, they're all starting off around the 1 terabyte range. Um, so, you know, I mean, hell, if you're playing Modern Warfare alone, your 1 terabyte hard drive is not going to leave much room for any other games. Modern Warfare is getting ridiculous with it.
Yeah,
Luckily, I have an external hard drive, but I'm also hearing different rumors about both PlayStation and Xbox making you buy their external hard drives and not being compatible with other ones.
That's
So
trash.
I don't.
That's
Yeah,
trash.
that's definitely trash.
I don't like that. Like, I hate anti-consumer stuff. Like, I hate, and that's why the Xbox Game Pass is so good, because it is pro-consumer. It is very, hey, we're giving you actual options instead of just saying screw you, buy ours. And that and the thing is, to be fair, PlayStation is telling you screw you, buy ours. Like,
Yeah.
Like, but the thing
They're
is,
doing it so hard that I'm I gotta justify all of these kind of purchases. I'm a family man. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta justify the purchases. I can't really justify having both systems. I already have a Switch and an Xbox, so
the thing is,
but the fact that I can't play God of War, the fact that I can't play Spider-Man, the fact that I can't play some of those exclusives that I love, does piss me off, because Sony's like, fuck y'all, buy ours.
Yeah.
But it looks like Xbox is about to be doing the same thing. So,
well, hopefully, man. Like, the thing is, like, I like, and this is me personally, though. I didn't see anything at their show that was like super impressive, like, and at least things at Sony showed that I was like, definitely want to play that. Even though they had a bunch of stuff that wasn't impressive, they also had a bunch of trailers that had no gameplay. But but all their exclusives, they made sure to bring that. Like, they made sure to bring the gameplay, and I think that was the main difference there.
Well, and as an Xbox, there's definitely things that I saw in our showcase that I was like, I definitely want to play that. But we're all left wanting more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still like, one of the things that I was left wanting more of is that Modern Warfare has really shown us like how awesome, at least in my opinion. I know some people disagree with me, but in my opinion, it showed me how awesome crossplay is. Like, it's been like the dream of almost all gamers.
Yeah.
Like me and Sleep. You're a PlayStation guy. I'm an Xbox guy. I really wish I could pop in Mortal Kombat on my Xbox. You can pop it in your PlayStation, and I can give you this fucking work. But we can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do that yet.
We can all dream. But like, for real, we can't do that. Like, I can't just pop in games that we both have that we can just
play it together. Modern Warfare is the only game,
like,
really, that we can do that.
There's games that I would buy and that you would buy that you normally wouldn't buy if we could play them together.
Like, oh, absolutely, absolutely, there is. And so, like, I was really hoping that both showcases would kind of touch on that a little bit. I was really hoping that we'd kind of be more united, but unfortunately, it looks like it's becoming more apart. It looks like they're both being more.
They're trying
proprietary.
Because the thing is, what's it called? Crossplay is up to the developers at this point, because Sony said it's okay, and Xbox said it's okay. So, and the PC said it's okay. So it's up to the developer at this point if they're going to put it on there. And I guess
it was really Activision.
Yeah, like Activision.
Activision is the one that made it happen.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's one of the good things they did, even though they're a very evil company, and you should never trust them. But, like, they did do that, and they made Sekiro. So, they're good on you, Activision. Screw you for everything else, though. Like, but at the same time,
if you want to hear more about our Activision, you must pay $5.99.
The thing is, like, I think if more developers were to just start doing that in their games, like NetherRealm, people who make multiplayer content, like, it'll catch on more. But developers have to make more, like,
I agree with you, but I think that both PlayStation and Xbox are both doubling down on their exclusives at this point.
Yeah.
I think they're really doubling down on that exclusive price point.
It just made such a difference. It made such a difference in this generation that I think Microsoft sees that it's vital to have your own.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It changed the game for me. And granted, I don't even play Call of Duty Modern Warfare anymore. I'm just kind of done with it. So, but there for a little while they have it, I got a bunch of friends at work who play, and like everybody plays Call of Duty that I know because I'm a shooter guy. So, before I could only play with people who had Xbox. Well, now all these dudes at work who have PlayStations, I can play Call of Duty with them now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
and that's and
it if the whole war zone, like I'm not it's no secret to anyone out there, I'm not a battle royale guy. So the war zone kind of turned me off. That's what everyone wants to play now. I'm not interested in it. But it definitely does. I wish that they both would have touched on it a little bit more. But
yeah,
I guess they're trying to sell consoles. They're not trying to say, hey, it doesn't matter what console you buy.
yeah.
You can play it together.
Exactly. They don't want to. They don't want, like, PlayStation definitely doesn't want to do that, and Xbox, I think they're giving enough away. So like they don't really want to focus on it. They have them though. The thing is, that was the thing. They said, well, developers just do it if they want. They don't have to if they don't want to. So they leave it up to them instead of Sony or PlayStation having to do something. So
Yeah.
so it's like, we'll just leave it up to the developers, and some developers do, some don't. You just really got to get the developers, the people who make games, to focus on some multiplayer, on what's it called? No, crossplay. And if people ask for that more in these multiplayer games, you'll start seeing developers doing that. Like,
Well, and that's if the developer is, that's the thing about them, is that the developers that develop games for both systems are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
yeah.
These Xbox and PlayStation are buying up all these different developers already. So,
And plus the big ones like EA, Activision, Ubisoft are taking these smaller companies and putting them under their wing as well. And so you got a lot less independent studios out there than there used to be. So,
well, EA is one of these companies that need to start making crossplay.
yeah, EA definitely. They got all the.
Can you imagine if you could play Madden or 2K with someone on
I don't know why they
family
wouldn't do that. Like the EA likes money. They don't care about exclusivity. Like they you think they'd already done that?
You would think they would. I don't understand why not.
Yeah, they love money. Like, bro, like EA's about, like, hey, pay me, bro. Like, I saw this one thing the other day was a game from EA or Activision. It was like, it wasn't like a big game. It was like a cell phone game or something like that. It said it had every single monetization thing inside of it, like loot boxes, microtransactions, DLC. Every single thing you could think of is a monetization. They put it in that game.
I'll tell you, the other developers I want to see is like Namco and some of these other ones who make fighting games.
Yeah,
how badass would it be if we could play a fighting game crossplay?
Yeah, I love that. But they're Japanese developers. They're very traditional over there with their games. Hopefully, if they get a big enough call for it, they would do that, because I don't see why not. Like, it's just promoting your game.
They need to try something other than missionary sex.
Hand to sock. Oh man, but hey, I think we might have to wrap it up here because I am super hungry and I need to call Kia.
Well, we are running at an hour and a half, so I think this is a proper time to jump off. You have any last thoughts on the showcase or on kind of where we're at going forward? Or
I think Xbox in this next showcase is really going to have to show something that wows. It can't just be the same thing that it did this time. Like, it can't just be gameplay trailers with no. I mean, it can't just be trailers with no gameplay. Like, they have to solidify, because this thing's coming out soon. Like, you have to solidify what you're bringing to the table, because right now, they're not really selling the reason to get the Xbox X as much as they're selling the reason to get the Game Pass.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I agree with you. I think that have you heard anything about PlayStation having another showcase between now and release? Or?
I believe there's going to be an exclusive game shown. I don't know if it's going to be an actual whole conference. I think they may just drop that, or it may be a state of play. But I don't believe they have a conference set up, like, as far as a game reveal conference. I think it's just like a singular big exclusive title.
Well, I'll believe it with this. Obviously, there's no secret I'm an Xbox guy. And even though Xbox has not historically had a lot of exclusives, the exclusives that they do have up until this generation has been what keeps me with Xbox. So I want to play the new Halo regardless. I want to play the new Gears. I want to play the new Fable. Those have kept me with Xbox. This generation, I have honestly, and I know I probably have some friends. I don't think James Hill's listening right now, but if he would, he'd probably slap me. This generation was the first generation where I was honestly thought before I saw anything about either one of them. You know what? I think I may switch this year.
Mm, yeah.
And I thought about that, months ago. But then more information came, part of me, I'm a multiplayer gamer. I've been getting a lot more into single player games as time's gone on and everything like that. But part of me, what makes it for me is Xbox is just more user friendly. It's more multiplayer friendly, and that's what makes it for me is the clans. Back when we brought Two Death back as a clan, um, those are some of the best times I've had with my Xbox. Is when we used, hit up Austin Shane's house and had these LAN parties and all this other stuff. It was just really fun. But given all that, I contemplated switching over just because, I also love God of War. I also really want to play that Spider-Man game. There's a lot of exclusives. The exclusives of what were making me think about switching. But now after this showcase, yes, it did leave me wanting more. Yes, there's some things they could have done better. But I will say that right now, after that showcase, I am more hyped. I am more excited about the Series X than I ever have been. I think some of these new exclusives, some of the Everwilds and the Avoweds of the world and the mediums of the world. Some of these exclusives that we are now coming out with has kind of reinvigorated it, and I really am excited about the Series X, and it's solidified that I will be buying a Series X instead of a PlayStation 5. And I do agree wholeheartedly with you that this next showcase needs to have more gameplay. It needs to kind of let us know. It needs to not be teasers. It needs to be showcases.
Yeah.
And the teasers are good and all. They have their own uses or whatever. But I do agree that the next one needs to be better. But it is uncharted territory for Xbox fans. For myself. This is going to be the first time that I can sit here and factually argue that we have a more powerful game console at launch. This isn't y'all were more powerful when the PS4 and the One came out, but now we have the Xbox One X and you have the PS4 Pro. And that was a whole other podcast that we did already. It's kind of the reasons why we don't have such the big jump in graphics because of those mid-generation releases.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to me that we have a more powerful console finally. And we also have all of these on launch exclusives that are coming out, which is really just kind of hyping me up for the Xbox. I feel like we're going in the right direction for sure. So, it did leave me wanting more, but what it did give me has me excited. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, then. Well, with that being said, we'd like to thank you guys for coming out, watching us. I know we had technical difficulties at the beginning. I'm very sorry about that. OBS was just being an ass. But we got it together and we came back. And I want to thank you all for coming out, watching us, supporting 2Def, and, also being into games because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone who came and showed up today. And like I said, we need to work in making this a more consistent thing. We've kind of everywhere with the days, and but this is the reality of kind of what 2Def is. We're all family men at this point. We have kids, we have girlfriends, we have wives, and full-time jobs. So if this was my only source of income and my only job, we could make sure that we're on the same day every day. But sometimes life happens. So we appreciate everyone who's kind of been, flexible with us and view our content whenever we put it out. We definitely appreciate you guys. And, hopefully you guys view in next time.
All right. 2Def out.
All right. 2Def.